This video is designed to help you complete part 2 of the Research Trail Library assignment, and using the International Medieval Bibliography, which I will refer to as the IMB throughout this video. So to access the IMB, go to the library homepage and click on Databases, and then and it will take you to the International Medieval Bibliography right here. Now, because I'm not on campus, I need to log in using my UMBC credentials, so my email address and my password, and that'll gain you access to the IMB. So when you get onto the IMB, you're going to come into a page that looks like this, and this will allow you to search in a variety of different ways. The IMB indexes articles that are published in journals as well as in book collections. And book collections are simply collections of articles written by various scholars that are collected together under a single theme. So our topic for this particular, for me to show you what we're doing, is Peasant Society. So you can start by doing this, simply clicking on Peasant Society. It tells me that there's 75 in total, and then I can do that search. But as you'll see, most of these here are in English, but there's a few that are in other languages. So to make sure that I can do this search in the languages that I can read, I can do a more advanced search. So if you click on Advanced Search here, you'll see here that it allows you to choose the languages that you speak. So we'll do this in English. And it also allows you to narrow your search by geographic area as well as by century. So if I do Peasant Society here, based on the primary sources that I looked at for my for part 1, we decided I was going to focus on England, so I can click on British Isles here. Now if I want to, I can narrow that even further. Click on British Isles, and then I can narrow it to where in the British Isles I would like to. So to make sure that it's British Isles and these specific areas, I can click on and focus on, let's say I want to look at England and maybe Ireland, then it will make sure that all of those articles relate to that. Now, in my, so now I have a total number of hits of 0, because that means that any article that I look for has to have British Isles and England and Ireland in it. So maybe that's a bit narrow. So perhaps I'll reduce that to make it less narrow. And now I've got 22 hits. Now based on my primary sources that I looked at, what I was looking at was also from the 13th century. So maybe I'll narrow it down to the 12th to the 14th century. Give me a bit more. So this narrows it down to 18. So if I search here, you see that they give the date of the publication, the title of the publication here too, as well as the author's name. So if I click on the particular article that I'm interested in here, they give me a little brief summary. This draws on the evidence of inventories in order to examine the value systems of peasant and bourgeois society. It's also got a bibliography, which might be helpful. It gives me the title of the publication that it appears in, so Medieval Domesticity, Home, Housing, and Household in Medieval England. So this is a book collection. It tells me when it was published, as well as the page numbers that it appears on. Now, if I wanted to find out if we have this book at UMBC, I can click on this button here, Get It at UMBC. And it takes me to this particular page. And this says that, sorry, this item is not available online. Please use other options to get it. So one thing I can do is I can click on this button here, which will take you to interlibrary loan. you'll need to log in to Interlibrary Loan. It's the same credentials that you use for everything else to log in. And they've already filled out the form for you. Now this form is so that you can get the entire book. If you just want to get the article, you can go to Interlibrary Loan, place an Interlibrary Loan request, and then do book chapter request. And then you can do title of book, title of chapter, the pages, and then the library will get a photocopy of that book chapter for you rather than the entire book, and they will email that to you. Doing book chapter request is much faster than asking for the entire book. So the book chapter request, you'll probably get your chapter within 3 to 4 days. If you request the entire book, it will probably take a few weeks. So I would suggest that you request the book chapter rather than doing the book as a whole. Okay, so I found one potential article, but let me go back and see what else might be useful for me. Let's see here. Peasant Land Market. That looks kind of interesting. So this is also in a book collection, so that could be helpful. But maybe I want to find something in a journal. So let's see what I can find. Oh, that was the one I looked at before. See if I can find something that's published in a journal. These are all one of the great things about the International Medieval Bibliography is that it does cover so many it does index so many book collections, which is unusual for many of these indexes. So here's one on English peasant buildings in the later Middle Ages. So this covers the time period that I'm interested in. It comes from Medieval Archaeology, which is a journal. So I can click on Get It at UMBC, see if they have this one. They do have this journal here. So I can click on Browse Journal, and then I can find the particular. So this is all of the different volumes, and if I go back to here, I'm looking for volume 30 from 1986. So I could find volume 30, and then just look for the particular. Here's the article that I'm looking for from Christopher Dyer, and then I can just download a PDF of that. So that one is available at UMBC. The other thing that you need to think about when you're filling out the information from the IMB for this project is these particular classification details. This is one of the things that I'd like you to include in your assignment. But these classification details can also be particularly useful when you're searching. So if you click on subject, it'll take you to a much bigger, it'll take you to peasants in England, a much broader section than one you had originally looked at. So that might be helpful in finding other materials. And you'll notice that the IMB indexes fairly recent material, which is very helpful. The other thing to keep in mind too is when you're doing your searches. So when I click on fields and type in peasant, you'll notice that there's a drop-down menu here. And so it gives me all of the different topics that have been indexed regarding peasants in this database. So I can either click on this one, so daily life. I find out that there's 8 articles on daily life. Now again, because I haven't gone through and done the advanced search, it's giving me some ones in other languages. But there are also ones that I hadn't seen before. So the medieval peasant at home, England 1250 to 1550, that might be useful for me as well. When you're using that aspect of the search, you can click on peasant. Remember that you can click next, and then it will take you to the next sections. So it does give you the opportunity to look at a variety of different things and see that way. So if you're having trouble with figuring out how to search, you can just type in your broader search term, and it can maybe help you to do that. Okay. So remember that you need to find 3 articles from the International Medieval Bibliography, one of which must not be available at UNBC, so one of which you'll have to click on this Get It at UNBC and have to request it via interlibrary loan. One of the 3 articles that you choose, you will be using to do your the section B of part 2, where you'll be looking at that article in a bit more depth.